the starts all the time. I appreciate I'm a big bloke, but I can get off the line better than most of these whippets simply because I worked on the starts all the time. Every time you leave the collecting area, every time you leave dummy grid, every time you make off on a warm-up lap, practice the start.
We're away now, and well, Richard Hayward, they're almost side by side making contact with Kev Woolley, but we mentioned he's not been making the best of starts, but guess who's taken the whole shot, Keith?
Excellent, I'm really pleased.
Oh, that was Kev Woolley going around the outside at Coppice there, so Richie Welsh, I thought he had the inside line there with that the race lead, but no, it could well be Kev Woolley leading this one as they go over the crest there into Charlie's 2 and back with you.
No, absolutely, it is indeed Kev Woolley who leads the way, and I tell you what, if anybody looks like he means business, it's Kev Woolley. He's got about a 10 bike length gap as they go up the back straight for the first time towards Park Curve. And yep, Kev Woolley definitely looks like he means business. Richie Welsh, however, I'm not going to write Richie off. He came back from what appeared to be a poor start last time and made a better one this time, but obviously Kev Woolley went that little one better. But I do wonder if he's going to fall back into the clutches. That's Jeff Mook or David Ball behind him. They're also trying to find a way through as well. They go through the gooseneck, which he's probably done more laps here around Cadwell than most people, so he definitely knows his way around this place. His local man, of course, Damien Lee, putting a good move on Mark Haig down there. Both of those guys have got plenty of track time, having competed in the 400s as well, of course, as we work the chicane for the first time, and that is Kev Woolley with a huge gap in relative terms. Certainly looking like we've got a tight battle for that second place. So what Richie doesn't want to do is to let Kev get away. He really wants to be able to get back into that toe and try and get dragged up towards the front end of this field. But right now, Kev Woolley looking like the man to beat, isn't he, Bradley?
No, you're absolutely right there. Of course, if we cast our minds back to earlier on today there, it did take a lap or so for Richie Welsh to really get into his groove there, get the hammer down, but of course there is only 5 laps in this one, so Kev Woolley leads them out of Barn and on across the start-finish line to end lap number 1 there, and Richie Welsh has managed to drop David Ball and Jeff Mook at the moment there. They go side by side, the 57 and the number 8 there. Jeff Mook has the inside line, but it is going to be David Ball going around the outside, taking that swooping line to take 3rd place away from Jeff Mook there, but the gap was 0.698 of a second between Woolley and Welsh. So is Richie Welsh close enough to make use of the slipstream there, Keith?
I tell you what, he's picking up the tail end of the slipstream. He's definitely closer than he was last time. If that was a 10 bike length gap last time, it's about a 7 bike gap this time, so definitely a little bit closer. He certainly won't be losing out on it. He'll be picking up a little bit of fresh air, a little bit of broken air, so hopefully he'll be able to gain not as much as some people behind him. I see some really close slipstreaming battles going. Obviously these low power machines, a bit like the MZs before them, really do know how to play the slipstream game, and I tell you what, he's getting closer and closer into the tricky gooseneck here. This should be where the experience comes into play, and sure enough, he's got that gap down to about 3 bike lengths now, maybe 2 as they anchor up for Mansfield. So his lack of familiarity with the machine is being made up for by his total familiarity with the circuit as he has a look at the inside of the leader at the chicane. He just served notice, wasn't quite close enough to do it, but I think Richie definitely wants this one, mate.
Yeah, I think you could be right there. Well, he said to me at Scarborough a couple of weeks ago that, you know, like I mentioned earlier, on that bike with that number, he's got 1 goal in mind, and there's not going to be a whole lot stopping him there, but Kev Woolley will do everything, won't he, as they go in towards Hall Bends. But it is Richie Welsh who's gone half a second quicker than Kev Woolley in that first sector, and when they came across the line there, Keith, it was a 0.7 of a second advantage there, so that is to say that I expect the gap to be around about a quarter of a second or so when they come across the line this time around, and there he is. He is right in the slipstream there, and Kev Woolley looks to his left-hand side. Richie Welsh goes to the right-hand side and takes the race lead away from Kev Woolley. So bike number 86, that is Richie Welsh who takes the race lead as he go in towards Coppice then. So, well, Kev Woolley, he's got some work to do. He's got his work cut out with Richie, hasn't he?
Certainly has, and I think each of these riders is an unknown quantity to the other riders, of course, because Richie hasn't raced for a couple of years, and even then he was racing in a 400. This is his first time this weekend on a TZR, whereas, of course, Kev Woolley's virtually lived on this TZR for the last couple of years, becoming the champion on it as they go up the back straight. It's Dougie Edmondson's bike, so it's a championship winning bike in itself, of course, and Kev Woolley, he's only been beaten twice this year in a straight fight. That was by David David Ball, once yesterday and once way back at Pembury, where David used to hold the lap record in the Open 400 class back then as a national championship. So David Ball, certainly some form on the board there. I don't think David's going to feature strongly at the front end of this one, but certainly Richie Welsh is trying to escape. I tell you what though, those other two behind him, Mook and Ball, they're not giving up on this one either, mate. I think they might yet have a role to play. If there's a little bit of a twitch at the head of them, I reckon they could be in with the stab of maybe climbing up a little bit further on the podium. They both want a medal for themselves, but they'd love to be able to make that a silver one, that's for sure. They're very close indeed as they go across the top of the mountain, but as they disappeared out of my side, it looked like it was still Richie leading.
Yeah, that's right there, and it's just watching them tip in towards the bottom of the mountain there, and Kev Woolley carries a horrendous amount of corner speed into the bottom of the mountain there. He really uses that camber almost as a berm there to throw to the outside of the circuit for the right-hander, which sets him up nicely for the mountain. So Kev Woolley seems to have that section of the course absolutely nailed there, but of course it is Richie Welsh still leading the way. Last time around is 0.034. This time around it's Richie Welsh with an advantage of 0.337 over Kev Woolley. We're into the 1 minute 44s now for Richie Welsh there. Kev Woolley the 45s, as is David Ball and Jeff Mook. So you're right, it is only 2 seconds separating the top four, and Ball and Mook, they are by no means out of it.
They're most certainly not now. I'm just having a look as they come out, and Welsh has got good drive. It's probably a 7 or 8 bike length gap. He's not quite as close as Richie was when he managed to, on that lap that he managed to pass Kev, but I think Kev might have a little bit of something extra at the top end there. Maybe it's a 1-2 different on the gearing, something like that, which pays dividends in some places and loses you in other places. I definitely don't think Woolley's out of this one. We saw this last time. We expected once Richie got to the front that his determination and he would drag him forward, but Woolley was able to go with him all the way. Here we come then down to the Bemsee. I reckon he's made open a gap. Have a look at the oh no, that's a change. So that's Woolley out in front. I've just realised the bike's a different colour out in front. That's Woolley passed on Welsh. So yeah, Welsh is most definitely not got that. It's going to be, I reckon that must be a purple sector time surely to Kev Woolley there, isn't it, mate?
It absolutely is there. He's got 9/10 of a second quicker than Richie Welsh on that one there. So I'm watching them as they go through the bottom of the mountain once more, and I'll watch them as they go in towards Hall Bend, but it's Kev and then Richie Welsh. I'm not sure what happened to Richie Welsh there. Perhaps he may have outbraked himself ever so slightly there, and of course we do have the last lap flag being readied now, so when they do come across the line it will be just 1 lap to go there. So Kev Woolley may have timed this to perfection. We're watching the sector times, and Kev Woolley, as I said there, 0.9 of a second quicker than Richie Welsh in that first sector. But Richie Welsh, well, he's got his almost biting the screen there as he comes out of the bar there and onto the front straight then. The gap is half a second. So 0.532 of a second is the gap between Kev Woolley and Richie Welsh. Now, is this going to be Kev Woolley trying to make the break here? Or is Richie Welsh close enough to make use of that slipstream again? It's difficult to tell there, isn't it? But
I'd say no, he's a little bit further back than he was previously. I think he's going to throw everything he can at it, but I think Kev Woolley has got him broken here, I'm afraid. That was the fastest lap. That wasn't Richie going any slower on that lap. I think that was just Kevin going that a little bit quicker as they disappear out of my sight once again. Luke and Ball, I don't think they're going to be able to catch up with these two out in front. Now, we might have the spectre of a slower bike coming into play. No, I don't think so. That's a very slow bike though, so that's going into Mansfield as the leaders come through the gooseneck there, and that's Woolley with a clear advantage, mate. That's got to be nearly close to a second. I'll tell you what's not settled is that third place. Wow, that was some cracking move. I can't tell those bikes apart in the setting sun, but I think that might have been Bull on Mook or Mook on Bull. He came from so far back. I mean, I am talking maybe 6 bike lengths back, and he pulled out and went for the gap, and it's like, wow, he made it. So not quite sure who that was, but that's a very deserved third place for somebody.
Yeah, it's Jeff Mook ahead of David Ball as he goes there. That slow rider there. Looks like Kev Woolley's managed to get in front there. Richie Welsh hasn't, so it's going to be a difficult one there for Richie Welsh, but Kev Woolley there, he's almost home and dry there. He's just going to keep it on the road, and he's gone purple in the first sector there, so Kev Woolley is certainly not left up. It's a 59.9. The only rider to go sub 1 minute in the opening sector there. Richie Welsh a further 0.4 of a second slower in that first sector, but here they come to the line. The checkered flag is waved, and it's Kev Woolley once again who takes victory ahead of Richie Welsh on bike number 86. Then it's Jeff Mook in third place ahead of David Ball at position number 4 for David Ball, and next up is coming across the line. Looks like one of our lap riders there, Damien Lee is the rider who will round out the top 5, and Dennis Hill up next. But throughout the course of that race, Dennis Hill, Mark Hayward, Richard Hayward are having a good scrap.
Yeah, we didn't really concentrate on that because of the grey scrap at the front of the field there. Richie, as ever, thanking the marshals there, and congratulates his rival there as they slap applause there. All good stuff, all very friendly and amiable there, because no paint was swapped in the making of this production. Right, Damien Lee coming, giving the marshals a wave as well. Definitely a good way to get yourself a spot prize there. As the rest of the field come round, giving the crowd a wave as well. Den Hill been playing this game for a long time. Mark Haig, a very happy man. I think he enjoyed that race, because most of Mark Haig's races this weekend have been pretty boring, really. He's just disappeared. All of a sudden he gets on the YPM and realises that you haven't got machine advantage. You've just got to ride the sucker properly, and fair play, he's ridden it very well indeed.
He's first of the clubman.
I was going to say, that's a clubman, so he's going to have a nice little haul of medals on his dashboard for the drive home, isn't he?